Good evening, all audio and video checks are good for webinar. I am now going to the background.
The broadcast is now starting. All attendees are in listen-only mode.
Good afternoon, everyone. I'd like to call this Tampa City Council meeting to order. At this time, if we could have roll call, please.
Carlson. Hurtak.
Here.
Clendenin.
Here.
Henderson.
Present.
Vieira. Miranda.
Here.
Maniscalco.
Here.
We have a physical quorum.
Thank you very much. We have quite a bit of housekeeping this evening. Ms. Doc, if you want to kick it off. Yes, ma'am.
Thank you so much, Chairman. Good evening, Council. On the agenda this evening on item number 1, this item needs to be removed from the agenda. This is TACPA 22-23. This case has been withdrawn.
All right, may I have a motion to withdraw? Item number 1 is being withdrawn by Councilmember Miranda with the motion. Second, Councilmember Vieira. All in favor? Aye. Aye. Any opposed? Yes, ma'am.
Okay, the next one is item number 2, which is TACPA 23-10. This item needs to be removed from the agenda. This application has been withdrawn.
We have a motion from Councilmember Clendenin, second from Councilmember Miranda. All in favor? Aye. Aye. Any opposed? Yes, ma'am.
Next is item number 3, which is TACPA 23-20. The applicant for this application requests a continuance to July 25th, 2024 at 5:01 p.m.
And let me ask you a question. Because of the length of time, does the applicant have to renotice?
At council's direction, they certainly can renotice.
Okay.
The applicant could be required to do noticing.
This is number 3. Yes, sir. Mr. Pressman.
Mr. Chairman, I would just note that I have spoken with the,
Please state your name.
I'm sorry, Todd Pressman, 202nd Avenue South, number 451, St. Petersburg. I did speak, which you may consider, I spoke with the woman who's the head of the neighborhood association to make her aware of this. So we're more than happy to do a notice if you think that's required. Thank you.
What is the, yes, sir, Mr. Shelby.
Well, council normally, anything normally greater than 3 months, normally customarily has required a notice to be
Okay.
able to.
I would recommend that the folks get,
Mr. Pressman?
Mr. Pressman, that if, that you would renotice, considering the length of time, and people will forget and whatnot, and just as a courtesy.
Well, whatever is council's pleasure, we're happy to do.
All right, may I then have a motion to continue this item to July 25th with the stipulation that it be renoticed? We have a motion from Councilmember Vieira, second,
No,
No.
not necessary.
no, Councilmember Vieira with the motion, second from Councilmember Miranda, all in favor? Aye. So item number 3 has been continued to July 25th, 2024, 5:01 p.m., 315 East Kennedy Boulevard, 3rd floor. Yes, ma'am.
Thank you, council. Item number 4 is TACPA 23-21. This applicant has requested a continuance to March 21st, 2024.
Okay, and that is to be heard with the rezoning, is that,
Yes,
correct?
there is an associated rezoning, which has been scheduled for March 21st.
Okay, yes, ma'am.
I've got an email from the public that doesn't want this to be continued, so I was hoping that you would allow the public to,
Sure.
if anyone here to speak on it, I don't know, but we got an email that said they don't want this continued.
Okay, if there is anybody from the public that wishes to speak to item number 4, please come up and state your name. Go ahead.
If I'm
I
sorry.
didn't ask for it not to be continued, but I'd like just 2 minutes.
Wait. Mr. Shelby.
Well, first of all, if I can, Martin Shelby, City Council Attorney. Ma'am, you want to speak to the merits of the issues, the things that
Yeah.
concern you? Okay. That would not be appropriate for this discussion.
Okay.
That's number 1, so please forgive me. Forgive
Okay.
the process. And number 2, Council, in consultation with the legal department, Florida statute section 163.3184 allows for what they call concurrent zoning and allows for a local government to have a rezoning heard the same night as a comprehensive plan if it is requested by the applicant.
Okay. Ma'am.
So in other words,
Wait,
I
wait,
can't
please-
speak
please-
tonight.
Please state your name.
My name is Karen Garcia Patterson.
You can speak on the continuance only, not on the merits of the case, meaning whether you oppose it or support it or.
The continuance
if
or
I-
the proposal?
Just, you can only speak on the continuance.
And I would recommend against that because there's really no reason to do that because this is not a quasi-judicial matter. This is a legislative matter.
Okay.
And because of the state law as it is, council really wouldn't have a basis to deny it.
Okay, all right, fair enough. So it'll be continued to March 21st.
Okay, I'm fine with that being continued. That'll get us more time to organize our neighborhood. Thank you.
Thank you very much.
Sorry, again, if I could remind you, ma'am, that you will not be getting, and the public will not be getting, another notice in the mail as to the
Of
date
course
and time
not,
of the
yeah.
continuance. So I would ask that anybody who's interested in this particular case, of course, the rezoning will be there in March 21st, but this
So-
matter will also be on the agenda, and they will be heard on the same evening as two separate hearings.
So as I'm understanding, if I'm understanding correctly, on March 21st, not only are y'all voting on the rezoning, but y'all are going to vote yes or no on the project? Is that correct?
This is a comprehensive plan, future land use map amendment, as I recall. And that is going to be heard first, and that would precede a rezoning. In other words, the rezoning can't take place until this matter is resolved
But
first.
will there be a public hearing? Will there be a
On-
chance for us to speak
On both.
on both?
Yes.
Okay, and will the neighbors be able to speak before the rezoning issue?
Yes.
Yes.
Okay, all right, thank you very much, I
Yes,
understand.
it'll be the full hearing, the full everything, and if it's 100 people or one person,
Okay.
everybody will be able to
I'm
speak.
hoping it'll be 200, but thank you.
Hey, we have a 4 a.m. record to break, so. Wait, we have to vote on this item. So there was a motion to continue by Councilmember Clendenin.
Second.
Second from Councilmember Miranda.
Date, time, and place again. Shh, shh, shh.
All right. This is a motion from Councilmember Clendenin with the second from Councilmember Miranda to continue item number 4 to March 21st, 2024, 5:01 p.m., 315 East Kennedy Boulevard, 3rd floor, which is this room, Tampa, Florida. All in favor? Aye. Any opposed? All right. Anything else?
The rest of the cases are ready to be heard tonight. There are 5 alcohol cases on the agenda.
Very good. All right. We are going into our quasi-judicial hearings for the entire evening. If you're going to speak on items 5, 6, 7, 8, or 9, please stand, raise your right hand, and we will swear you in. If you're going to speak on any of the cases tonight.
Do you swear or affirm that the testimony you are about to give is the truth and nothing but the truth?
I do.
Thank you, Louise.
Yes, ma'am, go ahead.
Thank you, Council. LaShawn Dock, Development Coordination. And Council, item number 5 is AB 2-2319. This item is continued from the November 30th, 2023 public hearing. The applicant is represented by Tyler Hudson. This request, just to remind you, it's a request for alcoholic beverage sales. This is for a restaurant designation with consumption on premise only for beer, wine, and liquor. The site currently has alcohol sales approval, and it is for a special restaurant, and it is for consumption on premise only, beer, wine, and liquor. And this case was continued at the last hearing to allow the applicant time to meet with the community and come back to you with changes proposed. So just a reminder, I just want to show you the site plan that's submitted into the record. So this is Swann Avenue, this is Oregon. So this is the site that's located here at the corner. So this is a part of that parking garage that's located here. And this is the restaurant use, and then their private room is called out here. But this is all one AB sales area request. This is the aerial map to show you just the area again. This is the location, this is the parcel that's highlighted in red, but the actual location is here on the corner. It's one of the suites located within that block. And this is Swann, just for orientation, this is Oregon Avenue. And just a few pictures of around the site. This is the site itself, really. So that's the location on the corner. Another view, you can see the parking garage within that. So staff reviewed the request, and staff found the request inconsistent. It was due to the waivers that were requested. There are site plan modifications to be made between first and second reading. Also, there are additional site plan revisions which were added, which was agreed upon between the applicant and then the community. A revised revision sheet has been provided to you with those changes included, and that would be inclusive of the alcohol sales area just being clearly identified on the site plan and the survey submitted into the record. I'm available if you have any questions.
So even with the revisions since, as shown here in the sheet, you still find it inconsistent? This makes no difference.
It's inconsistent because of the waivers, because there's a waiver to reduce the
okay.
distance separation,
Okay,
and it's
no,
from
I understand.
250 feet to 0, so that's why. All the other standards have been met.
Okay, thank you very much. Any questions from council? No? Yes, sir, Mr. Hudson.
Good evening, council. It's Tyler Hudson, 400 North Ashley Drive, for the applicant. Bring the PowerPoint up. There we go. I think we're pretty familiar with where the site is. If you were to walk out of the Swann restaurant right across the street, there's a sushi restaurant called Row.
Yep, and if we can get it on our screens here, the
sorry.
presentation. Yeah, we see it there, but.
You guys got it, or?
Not yet.
Okay.
Almost there. Okay,
Got
we're
it?
good. Go ahead,
Okay,
sir.
great.
Yes.
So I think we're familiar with where this is. You walk out of Swann, across the street is Row, the sushi restaurant. Around the corner is Sesame, a delicious bagel store. And then in the very inside of the Row restaurant, there is a 1,814 square foot room. That's really all we are talking about today, and I'll unpack that more in a second. I would like to address the question about the waiver. So as LaShawn alluded to, this property currently is wet zoned with an AB1, a special use 1 permit, sometimes called an AB1, for being a restaurant. There are no radius restrictions on AB1, so you could have a bunch of AB1s all next to each other. This is an AB2 because we're seeking to change those default hours. And AB2s, by contrast, special use 2 permits, the ones that, well, every single one you're hearing tonight as an example, it's got to be 250 feet away from another establishment that sells alcohol. It's waived pretty routinely, I think, especially in mixed-use environments like Hyde Park Village. So we're requesting a waiver from 250 feet down to 0 because Swann is right across the street from us, and I don't believe right-of-way counts. So that's where the waiver comes from. So LaShawn also kind of went through the background. So again, AB1s, which you all don't see because staff can approve those administratively, come with a default package of hours. 11 p.m. on the Sunday to Wednesday, let's call that the weeknights, and then 1 a.m. on Thursday through Saturday. And if you want to change those, you have to go for an AB2. So again, there is wet zoning on the property now, 11 p.m. weekday, 1 a.m. Thursday through Saturday. What we are seeking is to extend the operating hours for only the 1,814 square foot room that's entirely located within inside the Row restaurant. I was not here in November. I think there might have been a little bit of confusion about what was sort of in the site plan and what's not. I think Ms. Dock can attest to this, but it is very clear in this site plan, it is crosshatched. There's a 1,814 square foot area, and only in that area designated as a private room on the site plan can you sell alcohol nightly until the 1 a.m. hour. And I would note that I've had the chance to work with particular Pat Chimino and Mary Lou Bailey, who are leaders in the 2 neighborhood associations. This is technically in HPPI because it's south of Swann. HPNA has also been very involved. They're right on the other side of the street. It's technically located in HPPI, but we've been engaging with both. So let's go through the concerns and responses. I think probably by now everyone's memory's jogged from what happened on November 30th. So the first item I think I've addressed, I think the site plan might have been a little unclear about whether those extended hours applied to the entire restaurant or the 1,814 portion of the restaurant. Right now, it's only the 1,814 square feet. I don't know what the intent was, what happened in November, but right now I think it's unquestionable that this site plan that's before you only extends the hours for that 1,814 square foot area. Another concern was that the private room had unlimited occupancy. I don't mean that literally like it's an infinity room, but there was no hard limit in the site plan on how many folks you could put in there. And so the neighborhood asked 67. We put 67 seated. They said, no, 67 period. So that's what's in the site plan. 67 person occupancy limit period. Another concern was about potential queuing, kind of lines of people outside, especially the bagel place, which closes earlier. So there's a prohibition on outdoor queuing on Oregon after 5 p.m. because that would be the most direct pedestrian route into the neighborhood. But recall that Oregon dead ends there because you got to turn into the parking garage. Final concern, and this is I have a sense this might come up a little bit in public comment. Concern about sort of parking bleeding into the neighborhood. There's limits on how much we can control that, or really you can ask any applicant to do that. The zoning for this is the PD. That's not what's before you, but one thing that is not in the current wet zoning is an obligation for the operator of the restaurant, the tenant in this case, to provide, make valet parking available during the hours of operation of all the premises, and we added that as a condition. And again, that might be something that's in the private landlord-tenant lease. Neighborhoods have no ability to enforce a private arrangement between a landlord and tenant. This is a way to try to sort of build some trust with the neighborhood and say, hey, we are making these commitments, and they're in a public site plan, so they're enforceable by the neighbors. There's a lot of talk about precedent. I watched the November hearing. There's a lot of talk about precedent, and I'd like to talk a little bit about that before kind of wrapping up. So this is up is east. A little confusing. So up is east, going up easterly on Swann Avenue. So the green star, that's the building that some might remember as Jacobson's a long time ago. That's where this restaurant is located. So what you see there is 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Those are all locations that have current alcohol hours that are at least as late, if not later, than what we're seeking here. And I want to be very clear about what this says and what it does not say. I do not know, I don't represent the landlord. I represent no other tenant in Hyde Park Village. I have no idea what their leases say. Just because the special use permit says you can serve alcohol to chapter 14 hours till 3 a.m. doesn't mean you can or you should. I'm just saying strictly what special use permits that have been granted by city council provide. Pally House Hotel, right across the street. That was approved, I think, last year, 3 a.m. And that's not a terrible comparison in that this concept, this private room that's inside the restaurant, it's very small. It's entirely located within. You can't open a door of this 1 a.m. private room and walk out into the street. You've got to walk at least another 30 feet to get through one of the other restaurants. The hotel is, I'd say, probably a little bit similar to that. Smaller, not a significant number of people, but the bar at Pally House can stay open until 3 a.m. Meat Market. Based on the certified site plan, we've seen that they have a 1 a.m. closing on the weekdays. Timpano, this is, folks might remember this is JJ or JB Winberry's back in the day. This has a wet zoning from 1984, I believe, which it doesn't even have a site plan. It's just a legal description. No hours of operation restrictions there. And note that these are sort of peripheral edge developments. Irish 31, the former wine exchange, same thing. There's no hours of operation restrictions there. Boozy, also chapter 14 hours. That's kind of an inline, sort of faces towards those brick townhomes. I'm not sure why this slide's called detail. What I meant to call this is precedent, because there is understandable concern that this council would have and the neighbors would have about establishing precedent. There is no other wet zoning that I'm aware of in Hyde Park Village that has an hours expansion for a subset, for a component of a larger restaurant. And so saying, well, this is you're expanding hours, that's true. We're expanding hours. Be very candid about that. But this sets a very, I think, specific and difficult to replicate precedent, because this building, this room is entirely self-contained, and we have a site plan commitment too, which one of the neighbors brought up, well, we don't want to expand it. We're saying we can't expand it. And if you change a condition that council approves expressly as part of a special use permit approval, it comes right back here to you all. And so I can't speak to what other operators decide to do as a result of this, but I would respectfully submit to you that this is a very narrow, surgical, and conditioned expansion of operating hours for this room that's located entirely within the restaurant. That's all I have, so I'm happy to answer any questions you might have, and then I'll speak again in rebuttal.
So a question I have, and I think this was brought up before, in order to access this room, you go in through the bagel shop after the bagel shop is closed? It's like a.
Bagel shop or more likely through the restaurant.
Through the, okay, I see entrance
And
there.
that's on
and then
Swann
bagel
Avenue.
shop. Okay, so it has nothing to do with that.
It's the same concept. It's a singular operator for all three brands, but I think the entrance and the egress is most likely going to be through the restaurant.
Okay, thank you very much. Councilman Clendenin.
Yeah, so just clarification too, I saw that, because we had gotten a lot of letters in opposition to this issue, but then today, we received a letter from Mary Lou Bailey, the president of the Homeowners Association Pride Park, the neighborhood association, that now supports this with these revisions that you've included. And we also mentioned the North Hyde Park neighborhood. You have anything, you work with them? Did you reach?
So I'm going to be very cautious about speaking for them. I think they're going to speak in public comment. From what I understand, the HPPI has withdrawn their opposition, which I don't want to lawyer that up into support. I think it's stated what it is a withdrawal of opposition. Based on these conditions that Ms. Stock and that I've gone through, I do believe that HHPNA still opposes it. The correspondence that I got from Mr. Cimino listed out a litany of things, and I'll talk more about this in rebuttal. The opposition point struck me as being not particularly specific to these conditions we're proposing here, but I think a more general aversion to what alcohol sales, if unpoliced, and sort of the bad conduct that can arise from that more generally.
So just for clarity, and I understand this, but just for clarity for folks who are listening, the space that we're talking about has no external walls. It's fully, totally contained within the interior of the unit. It has no internal walls, and above it is a parking garage. So there's no, the surrounding area is, nobody else is exposed to this, correct?
Yeah, I'm not sure what's below. What is above is parking deck for that Hyde Park Village parking garage. To the west is either the back of the Nike space, I believe, or actually it's the stairwell probably for the parking garage. To the east is the bagel shop, and then you see sort of predominantly to the north is the entire depth of the restaurant that fronts Swann. There's no way to open a door at 1 a.m. and walk out to the street. You're walking. You have to walk through two buildings. There's no other access at all to the west, which is left, or to the south, which is
And what's
down.
across the street to the east?
An office building, so that's sort of the run of
So
office
no residential,
buildings.
it's all office to the east?
There's no residential to the east.
Okay, thank
There's, yeah, sorry, I thought I had a slide, but yeah, there's no residential directly to the east.
All right, thank you very much.
Thank you.
We'll go to public comment at this time. I don't have anybody registered to speak, so they'll be all in-person speakers. If you're here to speak on this item, please come up, state your name, you've been sworn in, and you have 3 minutes each per person. Yes, ma'am. No. Are there speaker waiver forms?
I don't have any speaker
No?
waiver
Please
forms.
state your name, sir.
My name is Patrick Cimino. I'm the president of HHPNA, and my board voted to continue opposition to this. We did meet with the applicant and their agents, but we still feel very strongly we don't want to see any further encouragement of late night. I've been here before the board. I've talked about land use and zoning and how Tampa's slippery as heck. And the fact that the Chapter 14, who knows what went on with that, that precedes the current code. The current code is more restrictive for a reason. There are residences, including in my neighborhood, within 50 to 100 feet of this establishment, and even closer on the other side. And I've heard a lot of concerns. Part of the reason we're standing by our opposition, I've heard concerns from the neighbors because there's also nuisances late night already. And I don't know how many of the establishments are open late during the week. I don't know about the hotel for sure, but it's impossible to know well, and I doubt code enforcement even knows what posted hours are versus what is in the permits. I think that one of the things with late night, it's very well known. We've got Ybor City and we have South Howard. I used to do the neighborhood watch for the other neighborhood. I lived there before. And I got all the police reports. Well, most of the disruption violent crime occurred in the wet zoning on Howard. You all know what's happened in Ybor. We don't want to see any erosion of alcohol use into late night, and we know you can restrict it Sunday through Wednesday in this particular case. I'll mention the patio. Some of you might have been around. The neighbors at the patio, which has outdoor drinking, city council really undermined them, and the neighborhoods are very sensitive along Howard, and Bill probably knows this very well. The neighbors have been very negatively impacted there by a heavy wet zoning. So the village is an asset, and with that, though, comes some nuisance, which the neighbors have to deal with. And some of that nuisance is late night, based on comments that the neighbors who live in the condos and adjacent houses have commented on both sides, in my neighborhood and the other neighborhood. So we feel it is appropriate to stick to code. The code is there for a reason. This is it's abuts a lot of residential, and we don't want to see any erosion. And whatever since happened in the past, so be it. City council's made a lot of them. I could give you a litany of them, but I don't have enough time, thank goodness. But we really encourage you to vote against this petition. The code is adequate for most people, and we don't need to extend our late night alcohol consumption. We've seen the issues with it.
Thank you very much, sir. Okay, next speaker, please state your name. You have 3 minutes. You have more. All right.
Oh. Okay, thank you. Okay. Ms. Cannella has 2 names. Could you please acknowledge your presence? Robin Reeves. Robin Reeves, thank you. And Virginia Smith, thank you. 2 extra minutes, please.
And then, I'm going to wait till he passes them out, if that's okay. Are we ready?
Wait, he's coming around. Okay. So you have 5 minutes total. All right, if we could set the clock for 5 minutes. Go ahead, ma'am. Please state your name. We'll start the clock.
My name is Pam Cannella. I live at 604 South Orleans, and I do oppose this application. At a recent public hearing, the topic was about children's safety. What can we do? City Council suggested that changes need to start at home. Even though that is true, the obligation of safety belongs to everyone. Our city, its elected officials, have the responsibility of interpreting and enforcing Tampa city codes for the purpose of public safety. Hyde Park Historic District is a residential neighborhood with families, schools, and parks, but it has become unsafe because of the many problems impacting our neighborhood from all the changes occurring in Hyde Park Village. Nobody is against responsible growth and development. Staff found this application inconsistent with our Tampa city codes because this type of business does not belong in our neighborhood. You don't give waivers to make it fit. You just say no. Extending the hours of operation till 1 a.m. every day is inconsistent with Tampa's city codes, and no other restaurant in the village has those hours. And I've given you the hours that I've pulled off the internet, and none of them, except for the hours required by city code, are open till 1 o'clock. Another inconsistency, section 27-129 states beverage sales areas shall not be located within a parking or loading zone. Yet Rose Outdoor Cafe, and in spite of the site plan, is open right there near the space they shouldn't be. Section 27-129, ingress and egress. The means of ingress and egress is to provide a continuous an unobstructed path to travel. There are many obstacles affecting the continuous flow of traffic to the parking garage and the businesses at the end of this dead-end street of South Oregon. Also, there are fire pump test connections, not easy for the emergency vehicles to get to. Valet parking is provided, but it's posted in front of the bagel shop, but no designated area for vehicles to stop. South Oregon is a two-lane traffic flow, so when they stop, they stop. Doesn't care how many cars are behind them. Cars parked in on-street parking spaces can only exit dead-end street by making a U-turn. The on-street parking area is within the loading zone. Large trucks making their deliveries back into South Oregon and have cars parked in that space, and I have pictures there to prove it. There is no clear flow of traffic at any time. Conditions are unsafe for pedestrians and vehicles and not in compliance with the codes for ingress and egress. Section 27-132, distance separation requirement states within the urban village 250 feet from other AB sales establishments. The current site plan says outdoor seating is 12. And you have a picture, you want to put that on there? When I walked yesterday, it's seated for 10 more than the 12 they have on the site plan. Impact on our neighborhood. Longer hours of operation means more delivery trucks. The greater the impact on our residential neighborhood and streets. Large trucks drive through our residential neighborhoods, knocking down signs, running over curbs and sidewalks, breaking drainage and damaging parked cars. These 53-foot trucks, and that's without the cab, I didn't count that, are large and heavy, breaking our streets and pipes. Swann has had to be repaired multiple times, sometimes in the same area. We have traffic jams on our residential street. When there's no parking available in the village, they overflow to the neighborhoods. Then there's the problem of excess trash and garbage and food in the dumpsters and the rodents we have to take care of. I think everything that I've said is covered in those pictures that I've showed you, and it provides, facts. It's not just what I've made up. I walk every day and I see all that. Those are pictures I personally took. That's it. Thank you very much, and I hope you oppose it.
Thank you very much. All right,
My mouth is so dry.
thank you very much. I'll submit this to the clerk if there weren't, you had a copy? Okay, good. Are you next, ma'am?
Yes.
Yes, ma'am. Please state your name.
My name is Jennifer Stylen, and I also live on South Orleans. I vehemently oppose the waiver to allow for this late-night bar hours. It doesn't matter if you give it a frou-frou name or place a golden straw or a silver umbrella in the $1,300 cocktail, it's still alcohol. The same alcohol served at wild fraternity parties. A vote for this waiver is a vote for an increase in drunk driving in our family neighborhood. Late night hours will attract prostitution, human trafficking, drugs, and crime. This particular bar is only 1 block from a church and residential homes. It is also within a short walking distance from Gorey Elementary School, Wilson Middle School, St. John's Elementary School, St. John's Kindergarten, the Greek Orthodox School, Kate Jackson Aftercare and Youth Activities. Many kids from the mentioned schools are involved in after-school sports and various club meetings, which can last into the evenings. Many of these kids' path home intersect with this bar as they leave on their bikes or scooters or on foot. I am appalled this bar was allowed to open in the first place. You have a responsibility as an elected official to vote no to the waiver and stand firm on safety first. Thank you very much.
Thank you very much. Yes, ma'am. Please come up and state your name.
My name is Deborah Rogers. I live at 776 South Village Circle, which is above the shops, so we are at ground zero, my neighbors and I. And we vehemently oppose of you passing this request to open up the liquor license to 1 a.m. My home backs up to Oregon Avenue, where this restaurant has an outside bar. So in the evenings, if my windows are open, if there's a queue waiting, I get the noise, no matter what time it is. My front balcony opens up to the Circle in the Village. I hear Meat Market already, Bar Taco, Timpanos, and when the windows become open in the springtime, I'm going to have all that noise. And I am entitled to a quiet enjoyment in my home, and I ask that you support that right. This establishment is a neighborhood where there are families with children of school age, and we'd like to protect the integrity of our neighborhood and the quality of our living. We invested into these properties, and we expect the city council to do as we ask. In addition, this establishment has been known to dump garbage into the construction dumpsters, right? So they're drawing roach infestation, insects, and rats. We have pictures of neighbors with rats on their balconies, on their front porches, and this is unacceptable in a neighborhood. It should not be allowed. So I'm asking that you totally reject this request. Thank you.
Thank you very
Oh,
much.
I'm on the board of Old Hyde Park Village Condominium Association. I'm the treasurer.
Thank you very much. Yes, ma'am. Please state your name.
My name is Sharon Alexander Gold. I live at 713 South Oregon, which means I am 57 steps away from Jekyll Highway and other 7 steps to Rose Outdoor Patio. On October 30th, 2023, an alcohol special use permit application letter was sent to me. Hours of operation were asked to be from 10 a.m. to 1. This was turned down, I believe, to comply with existing ordinances. They, Row, now advertises on premises Sunday through Wednesday, 11 to 10, and Thursday through Saturday, 11 to 12. If I sit on my porch or have my bedroom windows open, believe me, I can hear the noise. It doesn't matter that if it's at 1 o'clock, 2 o'clock, 3 o'clock. I still hear the noise. People are still coming out of the garage. We've had to put up with rats. We've had to put up with all kinds of vermin. And I'm tired of drunks laying on my front porch. I'm asking you to please keep the existing ordinances at midnight is late enough on Thursday through Saturday and 10 p.m. on weeknights. We have, as the Old Hyde Park Residential Condo Association, approximately 16 residents that are directly affected by this, plus all of our neighbors are affected by this important decision that you're going to make this evening. We are totally against it. I sit on the board of directors of the children of, different organization, of the Hyde Park Association. Thank you very much.
Thank you very much. Yes, ma'am. Please state your name.
Hi there, my name is Lori Rocca. I'm the owner of 2109 Bayshore Boulevard, Unit 706, Tampa, Florida, 33606. And I'm here to discuss similar issues that happened at my condominium. I've owned the condominium since 2006. I'm just going to let you guys know up front, we've got a speakeasy downstairs. It's extremely noisy. It was extremely noisy, kept us up all hours of the night. We're talking 1, 2, 3 o'clock in the morning, smashing their glass in the garbage, dragging their filthy bags across our parking lot into a dumpster which sat directly behind townhomes. And there were complaints of rats around that garbage dumpster. We also smelled the grease coming from this particular restaurant. There's a lot of noise, a lot of drunks. They would loiter downstairs the condominium and smoke, and you would smell that coming directly up to our units. There was even an incident where this particular restaurant left a side door open, and a person came in and actually intruded and came upstairs into the condominium. And I have had that documented, but I'm here to really discuss that if you do this and keep these people open till all hours of the night, it's going to destroy Hyde Park. It will, and that's all I had to say. I wanted to show you, actually, I wanted to show you one of the pictures. What do I do, put it here?
Yes, we can see it. Yes, ma'am.
Okay. Can you see that?
Yes.
That's the trail of filth going directly to the dumpster, and behind there are the townhomes. I just want to make sure I didn't miss anything. The parking, oh my God, the parking was awful there, that they had to come up with an agreement. So they're there all hours of the night, people are drunk, it's going to cause a major problem in the Swann area, and that's all I wanted to say.
Thank you very much.
Thank you.
Yes, ma'am, please state your name.
Hi, I'm Carol Call, and I've owned the property at 606 South Orleans for 27 years. I'm a voter, a taxpayer, like everyone else, and I'm talking about the people on my block that weren't able to come tonight. I'm representing them also. But we've had a lot of changes in Hyde Park through the years. Some are good, some are bad. Right now, we're very happy with the situation. However, I think you've already heard the problems that we have with noise and parking and everything else, so I won't repeat those. But one of the things that really bothers me is this place has been in the process of being built and opened for over 2 years at least, because I walk through the village and I've seen the signs and so on. Before they even started building and opening Row and Sesame, they knew what the rules and regulations were. I don't know what promises they were made as far as changing them or whatever, but they knew before they opened their business what this was. Right now, we have 9 other full restaurants and 6 other coffee and snack places that are open. All of them are successful. They don't have extended hours, and even though they say this is an enclosed area, people are coming and going all the time. We don't need a nightclub or speakeasy in our neighborhood. So I hope that you vote with the neighbors and do not approve this. Thank you.
Thank you very much. Yes, sir. Please state your name.
Hi, I'm Paul Winters. I live at 831 South Dakota Avenue, and I've lived in Hyde Park Village in 3 different locations over 36 years, and I love Hyde Park Village. I'm not anti-Hyde Park Village. I love the owners of the village. The new village has done a great job, but I also do not want us to extend hours on weeknights. It's already crazy enough there on the weekends. I live right next to the village. I hear the noise. The people wander through the neighborhoods trying to find their cars. And let's just face it, the later you stay open, the more craziness that happens when people are drinking. It's just a fact. So if we could just keep the hours the way they are, I want to go on record saying let's keep it that way on the weeknights, please. Thank you.
Thank you very much, sir. Yes, ma'am. Please state your name.
Good evening. I'm Mary Lou Bailey. I live at 912 South Oregon Avenue, and I'm here tonight to speak on behalf of the Board of Directors of Hyde Park Preservation, Inc. This property is within our boundaries, right on the edge. I was here November 30th, and we strongly encourage you to oppose the initial request. One of the key reasons was that before the first hearing, we had asked the owners to take a continuance to allow some good faith community engagement, and he turned us down. Well, he's now at your urging done that, and we've had multiple meetings, and myself and a couple of other people have done a lot of research about precedents and things like that. And we negotiated with the owner himself as well as with Tyler that's here tonight. And now the letter that I just delivered to Martin and emailed to you a little while ago is to tell you that we have withdrawn our opposition to this request because the applicant has agreed to put conditions on the site plan per our request. We've made a mutual agreement between the Board of Hyde Park Preservation, Inc. and the applicant to put in place several things. That this is only the private interior space, limited square footage, it cannot be expanded. The maximum occupancy, whether they're seated or not, is 67, no outside queuing, valet parking, all of the things that we were trying to do to limit the precedent. As I said on November 30th, our neighborhood association board has a long-standing relationship with Hyde Park Village and its owners, and we like to be good neighbors. What was originally in front of you was not in the spirit of that. We've now reevaluated and negotiated a settlement, is the way I would look at it. And that's what's been incorporated into the site plan conditions that we saw tonight that have to be added between first and second reading. So whatever your decision is, if you move it to second reading, please make sure your motion includes that they must include those conditions on the second reading. And, because we were very specific about the wording of that and have spent a lot of time on that to try to protect the neighborhood. Thank you for your consideration, and I hope this lesson shows other developers in the future it's better to come to the neighborhood earlier rather than later and try to work out some win-wins. Thank you for your time.
Yes, ma'am. Councilmember Hurtado.
I have a question for staff. I'll be honest, I've never heard of these type of conditions being put on a site plan. Can we require no outside queuing on a site plan? Is that something that we can hold them to?
Yes, LaShawn Dock Development Coordination. We can, if the applicant agrees to that condition, we can hold them to it. A violation of that is a violation of the special use approval.
And they can set the 67 and they can require valet parking, so the conditions that the
Yes.
neighborhood is asking for, those are all things that we can put on the site plan. I just wanted to clarify that those are all legal things.
Correct. All of the items that were mentioned, they can place on the site plan, the square footage of the restaurant, identifying the private room, just limiting the occupancy. It's just that the applicant has to agree to these conditions, and they do, and they are enforceable through the special use.
And I just had another question about another member of the public where the site plan showed 12 outdoor seating spaces for the bagel shop, but clearly had more than that. Is that a violation of site plan, or do those seats not matter?
I'll let the applicant explain the operation. The seats matter, so there's a couple of things here. One is the sales area, the area where the sales would occur, and then their location and their operation.
Thank you.
Good evening, Tyler Hudson for the record. This is the current wet zoning approval.
Sorry, Mr. Hudson, if I can, is this a rebuttal or is this an answer to the question specifically?
I'm showing that there's no outdoor seating. Or that's wet zoned, so.
My question was about the photos that showed the bagel shop that clearly on the site plan showed 12 seats on the site plan, but in reality, the photo was for quite more than 12 seats.
So the bagel shop is not within the legal description of the current special use approval or the one we're seeking here. So I don't know the situation with the bagel shop, but I know that it is not a part of the legal description, again, for this approval.
I'm just bringing up the subject because if they're not following a current site plan for another property they own, what are the conditions? What's the point of doing conditions? If they're not following the current site plan for another part of their establishment.
If I may, Council, I'm LaShawn Dock Development Coordination. So the bagel shop is not included in the AB sales category. So they can have outdoor seating as a part of their operations, and that's perfectly legal. It's not a violation of their site plan, but they haven't included that area in their AB sales.
Okay.
Yes, sir, Councilman Carlson.
You were talking about adding these conditions onto the site plan, and that a violation would be a violation of special use. What's the penalty in that situation? How would it be governed, and what's the penalty?
Yes, LaShawn Dock Development Coordination. So approval of this request is approval of a special use, too, for alcoholic beverage sales. So any violation is a violation of that special use approval.
And then what's
so the process is, say it is reported to the zoning office, we issue a warning to the tenant to let them know that certain violations have been reported or potential violations, and then they go through a process where they're provided notice to correct it. If they do not correct it, then they can be cited and they will be brought to council for enforcement.
Where we might take away their entitlements.
Correct, and then you're given options at that time.
And then also if we approve this in the site plan, also if this tenant moves out, the rights go with the site plan with whoever the future tenant is, correct?
Correct. Those rights remain on the property. In order to change these, they cannot be amended administratively. So if another tenant comes in the future, they must come back before city council. They must request another alcohol approval.
And then if it's limited to the small room, if the next tenant rips out those walls, what happens then?
That same square footage is still identified. We have a survey and we have a site plan that takes us to the exact location of that room, which I can show you.
So
We
if
have
there
a
were,
legal description that goes with this site plan, and that legal description takes you to this exact dimension of this room. So a future tenant that may remove a wall, they still have this restriction.
okay, thank you.
Yes, sir. Councilman Moran.
Ms. Dodson, please.
Yes.
Just for clarity, what are the hours of alcohol zonings now at Hyde Park, and are these the same hours or are they different?
For
I've heard both
different-
sides speak about it.
Yes, LaShawn Dock Development Coordination. So here's a map of Hyde Park area. So what I've done is just kind of highlighted some of the areas, the alcohol sales designation, and included the hours based upon the approval. I'm sorry. Well, I'll just slide it. So we have anything that is identified. I'll just show you the locations that have chapter 14 as their hours. They're consistent with chapter 14. That's this location.
May I ask you to move it one way? There's a white part where it says activity AB sales location. Can you move it a little bit more so we can see all of it? Okay, thank you.
Okay, sorry, there we go. So there are 4 locations. Location identified as 1, 2, this location, and this location all have chapter 14 hours, which means they have the ability to stay open till 3 a.m. Whether they do or not, I don't have that data here. So they can restrict their hours themselves and close earlier, but they're allowed to stay open till 3 a.m. The special restaurant designations, those of course have the hours that are approved through the special use 1 request. And so you're closing at 11 p.m. Wednesday and Thursday, and then you're closing at 1 a.m. It's the latest that you can be open on the weekend, Saturday and Sunday. So that is, I mean, we have several special restaurant locations. This location, this one, this location here is special restaurant, and then these locations are, we have a venue classification that is directly to the north. That is a small venue, and they are consistent with chapter 14. We have 1 special use restaurant that is northwest of the site, and that one has the special hours. We have a small venue that is located here. There are 2 AB2s, which are the special use requests that require city council approval. They're public hearing processes. That's this location and this location. This is a small venue, and these hours are limited. On Sunday, 11 p.m., Monday through Thursday is 12 a.m., Friday and Saturday is 1 a.m. And then this is the other location that is a AB2, and it has limited hours. It's a restaurant classification, and Sunday through Wednesday closes at 11, and Thursday through Saturday closes at 1 a.m. All the others that were approved are
So by looking at the map and looking at what I see, I think is what I see, the perimeters of the center of Hyde Park has mostly to 3 o'clock in the morning.
Yes. These along the west. And then this was one that was a 22 approval.
All right, thank you.
Thank you very much. Yes, sir.
Sorry, just on those, do you have any idea when these were put in place? Or are some of them grandfathered in from like 30, 40 years ago, or?
Some are older, as Tyler mentioned, this is one that's from the 80s, this approval. This is from 2010, this is 2009. All of these, this is 2016, 2023, 2015, 22. This is 15, 16, 16, and 18, and 21 and 22. So there are a few that are older, older than 5 or 10 years. And the rest are relatively new.
And is there not a distance requirement?
There is, a distance separation requirement exists, and that is 250 feet from other AB sales establishments. And so on this site plan, there is one waiver listed, and that is to reduce that distance separation requirement.
Yes, sir.
So I just, for clarifying, I think you said this, but because I heard something in public comment that was kind of, I think this requires clarity. The only reason this was found inconsistent was the distance requirement. If it wasn't for the distance requirement, this would have been found consistent, correct?
Correct.
Okay, thank you.
Correct.
All right. Rebuttal, sir. Please state your name.
Thank you, Council. Tyler Hudson, for the record. To emphasize the waiver, that is something that I think is waived very frequently, because otherwise its strict enforcement would prevent restaurants being located next door to each other, which I think is something that's pretty common in Tampa that you sort of want for some vibrancy. I'm not going to need the full 5 minutes. I kind of want to divide this into some clarifications and then some context. Just to be very clear, this is the filed site plan that I hope council moves forward to second reading. Outdoor area, 0 square feet. And I want to repeat that. There is no outdoor alcohol sales allowed with this site plan. Next item I want to touch on briefly is residential proximity. Sorry. Okay, so where those two red arrows meet in the middle, that's sort of the direct line of sight for walking into the bagel shop. The Sushi's obviously rows on the Swann Ave side. You're about 300 feet to the north till the first res. Because imagine that intersection. That's like they kind of look like homes, but there's a lot of the law offices, stuff like that. So that's a sort of an office RO1 zoning intersection to the south, about 115 feet. It's very far to the west. I don't think there's really much concern about western proximity, but worth noting that the very back of the restaurant's 582 feet, 1/10 of a mile from the next single-family residence to the west. And the building that's to the east, 125 feet, that's an office building. That's just sort of the face of the next building. It's on the other side of a 60-foot right-of-way. So those are the clarifications. I want to talk a little bit about context. I think, like, Hyde Park's an awesome neighborhood. My first job was folding T-shirts at the Gap, at the one in Hyde Park Village. Everyone wants to move there. It's a great neighborhood. It's changed a lot, and it's continuing to change. A lot of the concerns, I think, that you heard, I don't doubt that they're true, that there are vermin in Hyde Park. There's vermin in New Suburb, beautiful also. There can be noise sometimes. That's all true. But Hyde Park has changed into really a very mixed-use entertainment center. Those are big changes that have been happening for a long time. Your predecessors and your successors will continue to shape what that change looks like. But we're talking about 1,814 square feet. That is all that we are talking about. We are talking about a room within a restaurant above which is nothing but slabs of concrete parking. We're not changing anything about whether kids can walk by and folks are drinking. That's already baked in the cake. Those hours are already established. This won't change that. I think this is an exceptionally minor, conditioned, incremental increase that I respectfully say I think creates difficult to reapply precedent. If someone else comes forward with an entirely interior enclosed building room to seek expansion of, and the neighborhood association that the property sits in has no objection, then sure, they might say, well, look at AB 2 2319. Other than that, the notion that this is a predicate for wholesale expansions of the hours of alcohol, I think that's a very disproportionate conclusion to the very narrow permission that we're seeking to expand here. As Ms. Stock alluded to, there are multiple alcohol beverage permits in place. They are active that allow service all the way till 3 a.m. I don't say that to scare people that Hyde Park Village is going to turn into some crazy bar district, because there's an entire layer of regulation and enforcement that you all have no control over, and that's the private landlord-tenant relationship. And I do not represent the landlord or any other tenant, but I am a commercial real estate lawyer. I do a lot of work on shopping centers like this. I would be shocked if the leases for these establishments do not have some operating hour restrictions, because it is not a coincidence that operationally they all seem to close down at 1 a.m., perhaps 2 a.m. on a couple nights for meat market at the very latest. And in 38 seconds, I'd be remiss if I did not note, I know that there was some confusion about an app and the ability to book reservations after hours. I'll do this quick. I tried to book a reservation for next Tuesday for 2 guests. 11:45 showed up. That'd be a problem, right? That violates the rules. But what comes back, that's the latest possible time. This restaurant operator cannot change the API for the company that regulates the reservation system, but they have worked with them to ensure that the latest possible reservation you can get is consistent with their hours today and will be with whatever hours they have in the future. Thank you for your patience on this one for the continuance back in November. Thanks.
Thank you very much. Any discussion from council? If not, is there a motion to close? Motion to close from Councilmember Clendenin, second from Councilman Vieira. All in favor? Aye. Councilmember Miranda, would you like to read item number 5? Councilmember Vieira? All pass. Councilmember Henderson?
Yes, thank you, Chair. I move file number AB2.
Microphone.
Oh, sorry. I move file number AB2-23-19. An ordinance being presented for first reading consideration. An ordinance approving a special use permit S2 for alcoholic beverages sales, restaurant consumption on premises only, and making lawful the sale of beverages regardless of alcoholic content, beer, wine, and liquor on that certain lot, plot, or tract of land located at 1500 West Swann Avenue, Tampa, Florida, more particularly described in Section 3, providing that all ordinances or parts of ordinances in conflict are repealed, repealing AB 1-22-29, providing an effective date.
And the revisions.
And with all of the revisions provided by.
All right, we have a motion from Councilmember Henderson, second from Councilmember Clendenin. Would you like to speak? Go ahead, sir.
So I'm going to explain what my vote is going to be, because I think for the folks that didn't maybe see the revision sheet. One, I applaud the homeowner association, the Historic Hyde Park Association, and the the owners of this establishment for meeting. I think this is exactly what this council requests happens. The revision sheet that's going to be attached to the site plan is pretty comprehensive about the restrictions on the space. I mean, it calls out that it's only the 1,814 square feet that was in the internal side of this with no external walls. So this can't be expanded to anything other than that internal space. So you've got that buffer of the commercial space around it, and then you've got the parking garage above it. It clarifies that they have to have valet parking. One of my biggest concerns is, for full disclosure, I'm a resident of Hyde Park as well. I live down the street. So I witnessed the problem with parking in Hyde Park. I mean, it's a big problem as we've changed the mixed use and the types of establishments, and the burden on the residents around Hyde Park is great. So I was very happy to see, and I think it was very insightful for the neighborhood association to insist that valet parking be provided during these hours, which will hopefully alleviate the burden of parking for the neighbors. So I was really happy to see that as well. So kudos. Limiting the occupancy to 67 residents, that's also a big win for, I think, residents. So you're not going to, there's no danger whether this operator or a future operator wanted to turn this into a nightclub. That ain't happening with only 67 people. So it's a very restrictive occupancy level that really controls how this space can and would be used in the future. So again, insightful to make that note, to make sure that's in there. That there's no outdoor queuing. I mean, I think that's really important as well. For those of you, I live in Hyde Park. I live blocks and blocks away from this. Man, I've got rats everywhere. Hyde Park, the only thing more common this time of year in Hyde Park than pirates is rats. There's just rats everywhere. We have an exterminating program to be able to take care of that. But yes, they're the size of dogs too. I mean, these things, and they drive my dogs crazy, just FYI. But so again, this is something they worked out. Hyde Park is changing. It does, I think nobody would argue that the fact that Hyde Park Village is a cultural asset. It really provides one of the reasons why Hyde Park is attractive. I love the fact that I can walk to restaurants, walk to bars, walk to these establishments. It really does create, an urban feel. And it's kind of the direction we want other neighborhoods in the city to go. We're trying, I think myself and my fellow council persons are looking to create urban villages just like Hyde Park, or maybe more, you know, for working people around the entire city. It'd be nice that people would enjoy the same type of quality of life and amenities that we enjoy, to be able to walk to stuff like this. And again, it's an objective that we're all working and striving towards. So I don't want to inhibit that. Again, I think with these restrictions, I think it really solves a lot of the problems that people are looking or maybe hoping to foresee. And so I'm going to support this. Thank you.
Yes, ma'am.
I'm not going to support this because of the words that actually Mr. Hudson used and into incremental increase. And I think that's what I'm hearing from the neighbors, that the more we incrementally increase, we are turning this from a vibrant urban village into more of a night spot. And I think that is what the neighborhood is asking us to stop or to help put brakes on. And in this case, that's what we can do. It's, you know, as they try to change Ybor, there's a really interesting story in the Tampa Bay Times today about how they're going to be taking out the nightlife in Ybor. And that's what is happening. Where's it going to go? It can go here. South Howard already has it. Seminole Heights has been worried about it for years. So incremental increase is a thing, and that's what I'm concerned about. And that's really the reason I'm going to vote no.
Yes?
Yeah, same thing with me. We have an urban village in Hyde Park, and it's had bars. I remember the Cactus Club back in the 80s, and that's one of the alcohol licenses I think is still there. But it's not meant to be a bar district or an entertainment district. And the problems we have in places like South Howard's been a problem for 20 years. And I call it South Howard instead of Soho, because Soho is the bar district that I think all of us are trying to change. But same thing in Ybor, it became an out of control bar district, and it's now converting back to a community. It wasn't a bar district for very long, and the neighbors who live there, many of them have lived there for generations, never wanted it to be a bar district. The people that have bought houses in and around this place, they don't want it to be a bar district, and they put up with reasonable sound and reasonable bars, but the separation requirement, which is a waiver, is there for a reason. It's okay to have some concentration maybe, but we can't just keep adding, because then we'll end up with a bar district. And this use this sounds, I have not been to this place because of all these hearings. I hope to go one day. It sounds like a great place, but unfortunately we don't give licenses to individual restaurants. And even though this may be a great restaurant, a fantastic use, and this may be additive to the entertainment scene in Tampa, as was given in evidence, this right goes with the site plan and goes to the future folks. And yes, it's limited by all these requirements. And I appreciate the applicant and their representatives working with the neighborhoods, especially HPPI. But we need to stop somewhere. You saw the map, it's full of dots already. There's already a lot of apparently exceptions or people grandfathered in. We can't allow this to become an entertainment district. Thank you.
Thank you very much. Okay? Yes, sir.
Thank you very much. And you know, it's funny because I passed on this because I wanted to think out what I was going to say and what I was going to do, and it's very interesting. You know, you have the waiver sought with the distance issue obviously creates concerns. There's, you know, concerns about a sense of gradualism coming to the neighborhood on the issue of alcohol in the nightlife, et cetera. Councilman Clendenin's points are very well made, which is this is something that's very, very narrowly tailored. And the applicant has worked with the neighborhood a lot to narrowly tailor it. The issue comes with the waiver sought and then the incrementalism, I guess, if you will, that's portrayed in this application obviously gives trouble, but it's a 50-50 vote, I guess, if you will, in my mind. But yeah, but the incrementalism of it obviously is something that is challenging for me.
We haven't closed the hearing yet, or have we? Yes, we
have.
haven't been
We have
read.
a motion from Councilmember Henderson, a second from Councilmember Clendenin. Let's take a roll call vote.
Carlson? No. Hurtak?
No.
Clendenin?
Yes.
Henderson?
Yes.
Vieira? No. Miranda? No. Maniscalco?
No.
Motion to approve is denied with Carlson, Hurtak, Vieira, Miranda, and Maniscalco voting no.
Yes, sir. A question, council. As you know, any action of city council requires an affirmative vote of 4, so another motion is in order. I'm going to make a request of Ms. LaShawn Dock. Ms. Dock, if you could put down on the overhead, section 27-129, the general standards, which is the criteria you use to make your decision. And council, I would also recommend that when you listen to these, even before you do, that you have a staff report at easy access or in some form or fashion like you do with the PDs to have the criteria in front of you. I will make it my business to make sure that you have the general standards for AB sales on these nights available to you. But I want you to have this particularly as you are now going to be faced with actually having to state your reasons for your decision as part of your motion and in the record. So if anybody needs this in front of them directly, if they want to have this for the making of the motion, otherwise you have the screen right in front of you.
What is the pleasure of council?
Okay.
Yes, ma'am.
I move to deny file AB 2-23-19, the S2 permit for the land located at 1500 West Swann Avenue, Tampa, Florida. Basically, due to the fact that it's not in conformity with the Tampa Comprehensive Plan, there's a waiver that would not allow separation between other alcohol establishments. It does help to set a precedent or encourage more of these incompatible uses to the surrounding area.
We have a motion from Councilmember Hurtak to Mr. Shelby.
I just wonder if anybody has any other findings of fact that they wish to include in that. A second, that's true.
But a second, Councilmember Carlson. Any other additional information?
May I just also have an inquiry of Ms. Dock? Ms. Dock, is there waiver criteria? Is the waiver criteria generally also applied to the waiver criteria for a special use? Or is that a question for Ms.?
Correct, yes, LaShawn
Okay.
Dock,
And
Development
but
Coordination.
that's not listed in the staff report, the waiver criteria, or is it?
If not, I may have it. No, it is not.
Okay. Well, reference was made to that. What is the waiver criteria, please, if you could just refresh my recollection and for the record? Because it was referenced in the part of the motion.
Let me take a look at it.
Yes.
And I'm just reading with the staff report. The staff report references ingress and egress. We've heard common substantial evidence from the public that and we've seen photographic evidence of problems with ingress and egress. We've another point in this staff report is off-street parking and loading, and we've heard common substantial evidence from the public and photos about over parking and lack of parking. Number 3 in the staff report is refuse and service areas. We've seen photographic evidence of concerns about that. Number 7 is control of potentially adverse effects generally, which we've seen lots of competent substantial evidence regarding that. And we cited the waiver, which, it says, staff report talks about within urban villages, there's a 250 feet requirement. And so already within urban villages, there's that. And so we're not the council. We heard in evidence that the other permits were granted, many of them 20, 30 years ago. And so this council did not approve them and the last council did not approve them.
Was there excuse me, forgive me for interrupting, Martin Shelby, City Council Attorney, was there a reference to a code section in that for purposes, or just a reference generally?
Section 27-129.
Okay. Thank
We
you.
have a motion and we have a second. This is a motion of denial. Roll call vote.
Hurtak,
Yes.
Clendenin,
No.
Henderson.
No.
Vieira. Miranda. Carlson.
Yes.
Maniscalco.
Yes.
Motion to deny carried with Clendenin and Henderson voting no.
Thank you very much. Next is item number 6.
Thank you, Council. LaShawn, Dock Development Coordination. Item 6 is AB 2.
Why don't you hold off 1 second till the room quiets down?
Thank you.
Take care. Bye-bye.
Okay, thank you, Council. LaShawn, Dock Development Coordination. Item 6 is AB 22333. It's for the property located at 1523 East 7th Avenue. The request is for alcoholic beverage sales for a restaurant designation, consumption on premises, along with package sales, consumption off premises with beer and wine. The request would include AB sales square footage of 2,222 square feet of indoor area and 139 square feet of outdoor sales area for a total of 2,361 square feet of alcoholic beverage sales area. There's no parking that's required in the Ybor City and YC1 district. The hours are consistent with Chapter 14. There is a current alcoholic beverage sales permit on the property. It is for a special restaurant, which is an administrative review. It's for consumption on premise only, beer and wine, and it is contained within the same square footage. So the request before you this evening would allow for the package sales to occur on site. And this site is located in a mixed-use corridor and in the Ybor City Urban Village. And I'll show you a map of the area. So this is the site that's located here in red. This is 7th Avenue. And then this site is not at the corner, but it's one suite in from the corner property, and I'll show you the pictures on it. You can see that the majority of the parcels along 7th Avenue have that YC1 zoning designation. This is the site plan associated with the request. So this area that is outlined, this is the AB sales boundary. So this is 7th Avenue on the site plan. This area is the outdoor area, so it's the area that is just directly in front of the entrance to the establishment. And the rest of the area is the indoor sales area for the AB sales. And I have a couple pictures of the site. So this is the site located on 7th Avenue. And this is east, just showing a little bit surrounding the site. Let me zoom out just a little bit, show a little bit more of the picture. This is further east of the site. Still on 7th Avenue, we're swinging back around west of the site, and then this is further west of the site. And so with the request, before you, there is one waiver which is requested. That's the distance separation to other AB sales establishments. And with that, staff found the request inconsistent. Due to that waiver, all other sections of the code were met. There are corrections that are required to be made between first and second reading. Should council decide to approve the application, there are revisions that are included within the staff report. And I'm available if you have any questions.
Are there any questions? Thank you. Is there an applicant?
Thank you.
Good evening, Tyler Hudson, 400 North Ashley Drive. Got an exceptionally short PowerPoint for you all. So good evening. I'm here today with Paul and Kelly Hayes, who are the proprietors of Cheeseology. This is about as simple as it gets. This is the property just due east of King Corona. This obtained a special use permit, an AB1. They now have a desire to, as part of their business model, sell beer and wine, just beer and wine, for off-premises consumption, which makes sense given the residential density that's coming into Ybor City. That's it. There's really not much else to say about this one. I think the best words would be spoken by the folks who actually put their heart and soul into this business, which is Paul and Kelly Hayes. So I'd ask them now to come up and talk a little bit about the concept and why this is important to their small business. Thanks.
Thank you very much. Sure, please come up and state your name.
My name's Paul Hayes. So we're a part of the motion of and movement of changing Ybor, right? That we are a cheese-making experience. We're by no means a nightclub. We're bringing a cheese-making experience, those cheese-making classes. As part of that, obviously, everyone loves wine with cheese and that kind of thing. Our operating hours are very similar to ours. At at 10, we close at 10 o'clock in the evening. Fridays and Saturdays we close at 11 o'clock. And really, it's been a great community for us to be a part of. We felt very welcome when we initially came there, and it's our belief of that's why we located there. We looked at a lot of locations throughout Tampa, and we feel that what we're bringing and everything that's coming around Ybor just complemented everything that we were doing. And I appreciate your time.
Thank you very much. And say your name, ma'am.
Kelly Hayes. I just to reiterate everything he said, we're a cheese-making experience. People love coming in and enjoying the changes in Ybor, the delicious cheese that we teach them how to make, and the wine just makes the whole experience a little bit nicer. We close really early, so it's just, we just want to be able to offer people to be able to enjoy the wine and take some home with them.
Thank you very much.
You're welcome.
Thank you.
Thank you.
All right, is there anybody else, or is there any more to your presentation, sir? Mr. Hudson, is that your presentation? Okay, anybody in the public wish to speak on this item, item number 6?
Motion closed.
We have motion closed, there's nobody registered. Motion closed from Councilmember Henderson, second from Councilmember Clendenin, all in favor? Aye. Aye. Councilmember Miranda, would you mind reading 6?
Oh, sorry, hold on.
Is there a revision sheet?
Is
it included in the site plan?
No,
All right, let's get a motion to reopen.
So moved to reopen.
Motion from Councilmember Miranda, second from Councilmember Vieira, all in favor? Aye. Yes, sir.
Hey, good evening, Tyler Hudson for the record. Knowing that operating hours are a sensitivity, before today, I decided to shut it off at 11 o'clock for daily. The default with these is Chapter 14, because as council knows, but knowing that these run with the land and knowing the landowner's preferences for Ybor City, we would just like the revision sheet to have a Monday to Sunday closing time of 11 p.m. That's not in any document, so if one of you could just say that, if we're so fortunate to get a motion of approval, I'd appreciate it. Thanks.
Councilmember Carlson.
Is there already a revision sheet included in the site plan, in the report?
We can add it between first and second
Wait.
reading.
LaShawn, Doc Development Coordination, there are revisions that are included in the staff report, and this could be added.
This is, okay,
This will be
this,
added.
so that's a revision sheet and this additional condition, if you could state that. Thank
Yes.
you.
Tyler, sorry to hit you back up. I just want to ask you a quick question. My colleague mentioned the story in the Times. There's a couple naysayers who don't like all the changes in Ybor. Could you tell us what was in this space before?
Candidly, I'm not sure what was in the space before.
Do
You guys know?
Tattoo parlor. Yeah.
Tattoo parlor.
But it was,
checks.
was it not empty for a long time in between?
This has been a site that we have been trying to find an excellent tenant for some time, and we feel very fortunate to have found that. And Paul,
It's probably been a year or two since it's been.
it's been closed. It's been closed for a while.
Yeah, I mean, just to say.
Yeah, back when I was a kid, it was, I think it was a pawn shop or a jeweler, or I bought
That
a
all
fake
sounds
gold
right.
bracelet from there.
Did you really just say back in your day?
Back in my day.
Did we bring opening on Thursday? It was a Thursday. That was
February 1st.
Yeah.
Motion closed?
So moved.
We have motion closed from Councilman Clendenin, second from who? Vieira is the second, all in favor? Aye. Councilmember Miranda.
Thank you.
Yes.
File number 6, AB2/23-33. Ordinance being presented for first reading consideration. Ordinance approving a special use permit, SU2, for alcohol beverage sales, restaurant consumption on-premise and package sales, off-premise consumption and making lawful the sale of beer and wine at or from that certain lot, plot, or tract of land located at 1523 East 7th Avenue, first floor only, Tampa, Florida, more particularly described from Section 3, providing that all ordinance or parts of ordinance are conflict, repealing said effect, providing an effective date.
With revision sheet.
With a revision sheet, thank you.
And the change of hours Monday through Sunday, 11 p.m.
Right.
Second. Yes. It got it on the transcript. We have a motion from
That's
Councilmember
clear then, okay.
Carlson.
Can-
Yes.
Second.
Councilmember Miranda with the motion, second from Councilmember Vieira. Roll call vote.
Clendenin,
Yes.
Henderson,
Yes.
Vieira,
Yes.
Miranda,
Yes.
Carlson,
Yes.
Hurtak, Maniscalco.
Yes.
Motion carried unanimously. Second reading and adoption will be held on March 28th, 2024 at 9:30 a.m. located at Old City Hall, 315 East Kennedy Boulevard, 3rd floor, Tampa, Florida, 33602.
Thank you very much. Yes, ma'am. Item number 7.
Thank you, Council LaShawn, Doc Development Coordination. Item 7 is AB 22401. It's for the property located at 304 East Davis Boulevard. This is a request for AB sales, and this is for a bar lounge category with beer, wine, and liquor, and this is consumption on premise and package sales, consumption off premises. This would contain an area of 3,072 square feet of indoor area and 535 square feet of outdoor area. 66 spaces are required and 36 spaces are provided. So this site, the current location has alcoholic beverage sales approval as a small venue, beer, wine, and liquor. And it has consumption on premise and consumption off premise approval currently. And so this request would allow the expansion of that location. So this is located on Davis Island. This is the site plan that was submitted. So this is East Davis Boulevard. This is the site, which is outlined here in red. Let me zoom in a little more. So the existing site, I think the suite maybe ends around this area, and I'll show you pictures. This was a subway, and so that subway is now vacant, and they are expanding to the suite next to them. And that is the additional AB sales area, and that's why they're coming in currently for the AB sales request. This is the aerial of the site. So this is the site located here in red. This is East Davis Boulevard. This is Chesapeake Avenue. And so I'll show you photos of the site from this angle and then the surrounding uses that are adjacent to it. And this is the site on Davis. So this is the existing location, which is currently wet with alcoholic beverage sales permit, and this area would contain the area of expansion. This is another view of the site, and so this is to the south. This is the site in this picture here. This is the parking associated with that strip center. This is a view if you're looking southeast on Davis. This is east of the site. And this is looking north. So the site is to the left in this picture. And then this is directly next to that site. This is north of the site. So with this request, there are 2 waivers requested. One is to reduce the distance separation, and this is for other AB sales establishments. And then the other is regarding outdoor amplified sound. This site is located in the urban village, and it's on a mixed-use corridor. Staff found the request inconsistent due to the waivers requested, and there are changes to be made between first and second reading, should you decide to approve the request.
Yes, ma'am.
I have a question.
Yes.
You said one of the waivers is for amplified noise. Do they currently have amplified noise?
Currently on the site plan, it does not prohibit outdoor amplified sound, so they currently have it.
Okay, that's what I
But
thought.
I think the applicant's gonna explain, because I
Okay.
think that they're willing to limit it and
Okay.
not expand it to that.
Great,
so-
thank you.
Thank you very much.
Absolutely.
All right, Mr. Pressman,
Thank you,
please
Council.
state your name.
Good morning, or good evening, council members. Todd Pressman, 200 Second Avenue South, number 451 in St. Petersburg.
Yeah.
I do have a PowerPoint for you, if we may. Pull that up, please. There we go. This is AB 2401, Anchor Tavern. I'd like to introduce to you the operators and owners, Justin and McKenna Schuver, who have operated the site for 15 years. They'll be continuing to operate and manage the site. This site has a long, good history of a small business, as I just made you aware. It's a small neighborhood gathering place. It's a proven operation. There's been no problems. They have a very professional record. 0 infractions from State Liquor Authority, actually 15 years tested time. Good civic association support. I have one letter from the Davis Island Civic Association, and a representative is here from the Davis Island Civic Association to speak with you. This is only a small expansion that generates this request, along with a small change of hours. Councilman Miranda, this is for early hours, not later hours. So this is for breakfast time, not late. And the speakers, which we'll talk about as well. So second location, they do have on Franklin Street, is also run well with a good history. Code enforcement, no code enforcement. General inquiry, since 2020, there's been no alcohol beverage or any kind of complaints listed with code enforcement of any kind. LaShawn has showed you where the location is quite well on Davis Island. This is the aerial of it. This is a small 4-unit strip center. Currently, Justin and McKenna's unit is at the end. What is occurring here is, as LaShawn said, is expanding into the next unit, same business, same owner, same employees, same customers, same operators. The new unit is small. This is a very tight center. The new unit is small. It's just 20 feet from wall to wall. And this is just a quick view can show you. It's not a big expansion. It's not a big unit. And this is the shopping centers you can see here. So this is the current use. So this is the current use, which would be in the corner, and then they would expand next door as LaShawn. Now, one important characteristic is all the orientation of any kind of activity is to the street. The rear is closed. That's some type of closed fire door. Not closed, but it's a fire door. There's no activity back there. Everything is on Davis Island Street. There's a lot of letters in the file. I'm going to give you a copy of one just to pass around, if I may. Ms. Shelby? This is one letter from John Howard, who is on the board of the Davis Island Civic Association. He is writing for himself, but notes, I think he says something here very interesting. He said, "It is a place where everybody knows your name and you're always glad you came." And that's what it is. It's a little local area or a local tavern in a local area. But this is one typical letter that does circulate through the letters, which we'll put in the file. It's a cherished local establishment, gathering spot for neighbors, commitment to responsible management, good neighbors, prioritize safety, well-being of patrons, current small size limits ability to accommodate the demand, and ensure that this beloved neighborhood institution continues to thrive. And there's a number of other letters in the record. And again, another one, very similar, a long-term customer. It's a staple for the community, warm and inviting, provides atmosphere of friends, family. Grateful that Justin and his wife chose Davis Island, their positive impact on the community. Now, they do have a menu, and they do serve food. It is not just pure liquor, but they do not meet the 51%, but they do have food, and that's served throughout the hours. And again, one request here is that they do want to open up or have the ability to have service at 7 a.m. The other is there are 4 small outdoor speakers. They're very small. They're primarily connected to the TV for sports, but then they're used for background music. So the condition of approval and support from the Davis Island Civic Association, which was officially, which is officially the Civic Association, is that they would remain the same. There'd be no change of that amplified, those speakers and the amplified noise. Does that clarify for you, Councilwoman? Okay. In regard to the waivers, as I indicated to you, sound orientation is only on the Davis Boulevard. The amplified music is not going to change. In the urban village, you can't really throw a stick without hitting another user. As LaShawn showed you, the other user is virtually almost abutting. It's that convenience store. And quite frankly, that was almost really approved by the earlier approval they're with now, virtually the same thing. So that really hasn't changed. And the other waiver is for the amplified, which I've explained to you, and is also supported by the association. Oh, and this is the shot showing you the neighbor next door and the waiver, and that building has been there for a long time. So it meets code criteria review. As I look through the criteria and highlight some points, it does look at yes. Yes, I'm going to read just a little bit. Thank you, Mr. Chairman. Just a couple points from the criteria, which is consideration of adverse effects. I've explained to you there are none. They have a test of time. They're within the urban village. Certainly, the site is not similar to the concerns of Ybor that have risen, or I heard some concerns on the first case. Excuse me. And it's a site that serves the local folks and is compatible with the contiguous and surrounding property by the test of time, and does not establish a precedent or encourage more intensive or incompatible uses. So with that, we appreciate your attention, and we ask for your support, and happy to answer the questions you might have.
Any questions from council members? Yes, ma'am.
Thank you, Council LaShawn, Doc Development Coordination. I just wanted to clarify with the outdoor sound. So the current request, the current approval on the site is a venue classification. And this request is for a bar lounge. And so the bar lounge criteria in the special use section of the code states the no outdoor amplified sound. So this waiver is specific because this request is now for a bar lounge category at this location. So I just want to make sure for the record that's clear.
Thank you.
And Mr. Chairman, if I may, I do want to read specifically from Debbie Zimmerman, who's the chair of the zoning committee of Davis Island Civic Association, who notes that the Davis Island Civic Association is not opposed to the request on the condition that there be no additional amplified noise. So that's the specific condition that we've agreed to. No more amplified noise than what is present.
Okay, very good.
Thank you, and I'll put this in the record.
Thank you very much, sir. Is there anybody in the public that wishes to speak on item number 7? Yes, sir. Please come up and state your name.
Good evening, Patrick Murphy. I'm here as a representative of the Davis Islands Civic Association. As Todd just mentioned, our position is not to object so long as that special condition is added. Separate from appearing as a representative for the Davis Island Civic Association, as a neighbor, I would like to voice my approval. Justin has been a hallmark on the island for a long time. I expect them, they've been over a decade, there'll be another decade or so, I'm sure, if not more. It's nice to see a local business doing well, especially after all the local businesses that did not do so well in the last couple of years, and I hope the council will approve the expansion of this business. Thank you.
Thank you very much, sir. Anybody else? No, there's nobody registered. Motion closed from Councilmember Clendenis and from Councilmember Miranda. All in favor?
Aye.
Councilmember Vieira?
Yes, sir.
Item number 7.
Move an ordinance being presented for first reading consideration, an ordinance approving a special use permit, SU2, for alcoholic beverage sales, bar, lounge, nightclub, consumption on premises, and package sales, off-premises consumption, and making lawful the sale of beverages regardless of alcoholic content, beer, wine, and liquor, at or from that certain lot, plot, or tract of land located at 304 East Davis Boulevard, as more particularly described in Section 3, providing that all ordinances or parts of ordinances in conflict are repealed, repealing ordinance number 2014-76, providing an effective date.
We have a motion, yes?
And yes.
Yes, sir. And that revision, that revision sheet includes that special condition, right?
Yes, regarding the amplified
Okay.
sound, yes. We have a motion from Councilmember Vieira, second from Councilmember Miranda. Roll call vote.
Henderson,
Yes.
Vieira,
Yes.
Miranda, Carlson,
Yes.
Hurtak,
Yes.
Clendenin,
Yes.
Maniscalco.
Yes.
Motion carried unanimously. Second reading and adoption will be held on March 28th, 2024 at 9:30 a.m. located at Old City Hall, 315 East Kennedy Boulevard, 3rd floor, Tampa, Florida, 33602.
Thank you very much. Thank you. Yes, yes, sir. Item number 8.
Thank you, Council LaShawn, Doc Development Coordination. Item 8 is AB 22403. This is for the property located at 253 Westshore Plaza. This is a part of the Westshore Plaza Mall. This is a suite inside of the mall, and I'll show you momentarily the site photo. This request is for alcoholic beverage sales as a small venue classification, beer and wine with consumption on premise only. This is only contained within the indoor area. This would be contained within 6,091 square feet of area. This is for a private recreational facility use on site. The use itself requires 35 spaces, and they are provided because, of course, the mall site has parking, which is contained within the entire site. The hours are consistent with Chapter 14. And I'll show you the site plan that's submitted with the request. So this is the mall property, which is pretty large. Of course, you've got the interstate that's located here to the north. This is Dick's Sporting Goods on the west end of the mall. So this is the site that's located here in red outlined. You would enter to get to the site either through the Dick's Sporting Goods store into the mall, and then it is a suite that's located there, or through the side door at the mall to enter the actual mall itself to that side. But that is the area. It's inclusive of all indoor area. On the site plan itself, it does give a blow up, and it gives you the dimensions of the actual site itself. This is an aerial of the site, just to orient everyone. This is the Westshore Plaza. This is 275 to the north, and Westshore Boulevard is to the east. And so this location is somewhere similar to around in this area of the mall. And this is the existing parking garage on site. Given that it's inside the mall, there aren't too many photos. So from this end of the mall, you'd enter either through this side or Dick's, either side, and then into the mall itself.
Somebody was up way too early to get us that parking in our cars.
Yes, I was. That's the best time to go.
Yeah.
Right when it opens. And this is the location that's here. You can see, so Dick's is in the back, in the rear of this picture. And this is the side of the facility of this suite that's here. And then this is another view. This is if you're inside looking to the west. The entrance is here to the right of the picture, the entrance to the establishment. And that's just another view showing the establishment. The entrance is here, and Dick's is behind us in this photo. And so this request, there were no waivers requested. There are no waivers required. There's no distance separation waiver required. This location is in a business center, and it's on a mixed-use corridor. So staff reviewed the request. We find the request consistent. There are site plan modifications to be made between first and second reading. There are minor changes, and they're contained within the staff report itself. And I'm available if you have any questions.
Any questions? No, thank you very much.
Thank you, Council.
Yes, sir. Please state your name.
Good evening, City Council. Ryan Manassi with Johnson Pope, Director of Development and Planning. If I could have the PowerPoint come up, and I'll just show you a brief slideshow.
There it is. Yes, sir.
Excellent. So generality, everybody understands the location, but what I did there was I added a star just to kind of hone in on a little bit more. I think we all know the location. It's more or less close to Dick's Sporting's Good. The proposed location is all inside of the mall. There's no outdoor areas, and that coincides with our AB request as well. All AB consumption is strictly inside, so no outdoor AB consumption. But you have I-275 to your south, Kennedy to your Kennedy to your west and then south, and then Westshore Boulevard to your east. As LaShawn already showed, I'll just kind of zoom through this one. This is the overall site plan that was submitted. And then the close-up, this shows the actual unit itself. And it's for a commercial recreational facility. That's the zoning definition that would apply to this type of use that my client is established at this property. And that's something to point out as well, is that the use is established, and we're here tonight to try to get the beer and wine consumption on premise only. It is for that small venue category, and that's just because that's the only category that we can actually fit into. There's no category in the special use 1 categories that we could fit into with a private recreation, or I'm sorry, a commercial recreational facility. And there's, this is the only category that fits for us in the alcohol world for the small venue. And again, it's for beer and wine consumption on premise, and it's all indoor. This is the establishment, a few pictures that I received from the client inside. LaShawn did a great job explaining how you get to the unit and the exterior of it. And this shows you that you could pretend to be Tom Brady or Patrick Mahomes and have a couple beers if we get approved here tonight on that top left picture. But you can see they host different type of free roam virtual reality experiences, as well as golf simulators and some other sports simulators. The plan is consistent from our view with section 27129 for the general standards of your code, as well as LaShawn stated 27132 for your special use criteria. We are not requesting any waivers to city code, as you typically may see with obviously distances or parking, etc. We agree to make the revisions between first and second reading as identified in the staff report. And I'd like to have the clients come up just for a brief moment. I know, try not to get too late, and just explain the operation a little bit in detail. So.
Good evening, Najib Abu Ismail for the record. So pretty much what we do, we're a multi-attraction facility, entertainment facility with main focus on virtual reality. This is where you, let's say the 7 of you could come together and play a game together where all of you are in the same environment, shooting zombies, killing robots, exploring alien worlds. We're big on team building as well, so leveling up your communication among each other, protecting each other's backs, or going against each other to settle an argument. Pretty much. Yeah, it's a free roam. It's a state-of-art technology. Zero latency is one of very few companies that does this worldwide. Zero latency itself is in 90 locations across 25 different countries. The action happened within a 2,000 square feet of open space where the players are strapped on virtual reality headsets, have guns, and freely roam, where pretty much instead of playing the game, you're inside of the game. So yeah, and a golf simulator too. People swing some golf. We have 85 different golf courses, 18 holes, and hopefully they'll be able to have some beer and wine.
I personally have always wanted to fight alongside Councilman Vieira in a zombie apocalypse.
There we go.
There you go.
You're
I think the gentleman here can make it happen, so.
Absolutely.
Make dreams come true.
There we go.
So with that, council, we request your approval, and we'd be happy to answer any questions operationally or applying to our special use application.
And you would be set to mall hours? I mean.
We're consistent with chapter 14, but yes, it's in Westshore Mall, so I think the latest they plan on operating right now is probably midnight, and that's not even what they operate at right now. I think it's
right now we close at 10 on the weekends and 8 o'clock during the week.
And that's why we listed the hours as consistent with chapter 14 to be flexible with how the mall interacts.
All right, any other questions or comments? Did we get, is there any public comment for item number 8? Motion closed from Councilmember Clendenin, second from Councilmember Vieira. All in favor? Aye. Any opposed? Councilmember Henderson, you did read one already.
Yeah,
so.
I can, of course.
Councilmember Clendenin? No, just so I did that.
Yeah, I didn't know.
I move file number AB 22403, an ordinance being presented for first reading consideration, an ordinance approving a special use permit, SU2, for alcoholic beverage sales, small venue consumption on premise only, and making lawful the sale of beer and wine on a certain plot, lot, or tract of land located at 253 Westshore Plaza, Tampa, Florida, as more particularly described in Section 2, providing that all ordinances or parts of ordinances in conflict are repealed and providing an effective date.
We have a motion from Councilmember Clendenin, second from Councilmember Miranda. Roll call vote.
Vieira,
Yes.
Miranda,
Yes.
Carlson,
Yes.
Hurtak,
Yes.
Clendenin,
Yes.
Henderson,
Yes.
Maniscalco.
Yes.
Motion carried unanimously. Second reading and adoption will be held on March 28th at 9:30 a.m. located at Old City Hall, 315 East Kennedy Boulevard, 3rd floor, Tampa, Florida, 33602.
Thank you very much.
Can you create a virtual reality of Councilman Miranda and myself at the castle in Ybor at 3 o'clock in the morning? Is that?
Yeah, and you should put some girls in your pictures. There are no girls, no women participating in your pictures.
We'll get that for the next one.
Yeah.
Thank you, council.
Thank you very much. Last
We
case
like
of the night. Item number
Thank you. Thank you, Council LaShawn, Dock Development Coordination. Item 9 is AB 22404. This is for the property at 601 South Harbor Island Boulevard. This is Jackson's Bistro. The request is for alcoholic beverage sales as a large venue, classification, beer, wine, and liquor, consumption on premise, and package sales, consumption off premise. This would be contained within 16,077 square feet of first floor indoor space and 3,037 square feet of second floor indoor space. There's no outdoor area with this request. It is important to note that the site currently is wet with an alcoholic beverage sales approval as a large venue classification, beer, wine, and liquor, consumption on premise only. So this request would allow the package sales to be contained within the area specified with this request. And this is the site plan that was submitted. So the site plan identifies two things. It identifies the current AB sales area, which exists, which is this overall boundary. And then it identifies the AB sales and the file number. And then this is the subject request, this site, which is Jackson's footprint. This is an aerial of the site. So this is Harbour Island Boulevard. This is the bridge coming over, and then this is the entire site that's identified in red, but the site is located more to the northwest corner of the property boundary. So there are a couple of things. There are just a couple of pictures to show. One was just an aerial. I thought that might be helpful just to see another view of it. Just a Google Earth image, just showing where it is located, Jackson's and the other. You can see the drive from Harbour Island Boulevard where you would approach the actual property, but you can see the other uses that exist there. This is a view showing just the drive up in the entrance on that side. Here's another picture of the area. And then also, because this site is already built, it's already constructed, on the site plan itself, it does identify the location, and it has the pictures, because there are no elevations, because this is an existing site. So the site photos are included within the site plan itself. But this just identifies the indoor area only on the second level, and this is the request, which is the large venue classification. So the request was reviewed by DRC staff. The request was found inconsistent, but that is just due to the waiver requested. That's the distance separation, which is required of 250 feet to other AB sales establishments, and then also to residential uses. So it was two waivers that are requested within this request. Other than that, all other sections of the code are met, and there are revisions required to be made between first and second reading, should you decide to approve. I'm available if you have any questions.
Any questions? Nope, thank you very much.
Thank you,
Applicant?
Counsel.
Yes, sir. Please state your name.
Yes, good evening, Kevin Reale with Stearns Weaver Miller, 401 East Jackson Street. I do not have a presentation tonight. I have a picture of the site plan with some color to maybe help out a little bit. What is important tonight is what's not changing. The green outline there you show is the existing AB permit. That permit is that zoning actually is established by the tenant, the landlord. What we're talking about today is the tenant. So the application is actually Tcc Harbour Island LLC, but Jackson's is here with me today, representatives from Jackson's, because the only thing we're trying to change is the ability for the indoor area of Jackson's to have package sales. Jackson's will still operate under their existing permit for their patio. American Social will still operate with their own permit. Nothing will change on site. The outer boundary doesn't change. The magnitude of the waivers doesn't change. Just the indoor area to permit package sales. And so with only that change happening, rather than do a presentation, I wanted to show the outline. You can see in yellow the area that this would affect. The other wet zoning area would remain the same, and then just answer questions that council may have, because having the overlay and having the two stories, as LaShawn pointed out, is different. And so we worked with staff for a while to make sure that the site plan made sense, and this picture tries to make it even more clear.
Any questions for the applicant? No? Does that conclude your presentation?
It does.
All right, do we have anybody in the public that wishes to speak on item number 9? We have a motion to close from Councilmember Clendenin with a second from Councilmember Miranda. All in favor? Aye. Any opposed? Councilmember Hurtak, would you mind reading 9?
Well, I'll do another. Item number 9, file number AB2-24-04, ordinance being presented for first reading consideration, and ordinance approving a special use permit, SU2, for alcoholic beverage sales, large venue, consumption on premises, and package sales, off-premises consumption, and making lawful the sale of beverages regardless of alcoholic content, beer, wine, and liquor, at or from that certain lot, plot, or tract of land located at 601 South Harbour Island Boulevard, as more particularly described in Section 2, providing that all ordinances or parts of ordinances in conflict are repealed, providing an effective date, and including the revision sheet.
We have a motion from Councilmember Hurtak, second from Councilmember Miranda. Yes, ma'am.
The package sales, what exactly? We've already closed.
We did close. No, it was more of a curiosity question, I guess. It's
Okay.
okay.
And it's also coming back for second reading.
Yeah.
Yes, you can always ask to. Roll call, please.
Miranda. Yes. Carlson.
Yes.
Hurtak.
Yes.
Clendenin.
Yes.
Henderson.
Yes.
Vieira. Yes. Maniscalco.
Yes.
Motion carried unanimously. Second reading and adoption will be held on March 28, 2024 at 9:30 a.m. located at Old City Hall, 315 East Kennedy Boulevard, 3rd floor, Tampa, Florida, 33602.
Thank you very much.
Thank you.
That concludes the agenda. I just have one item for new business.
Chair Pro Tem recognizes Chairman Maniscalco.
I'd like to make a motion for Lorraine Perino to make a 10-minute Arbor Day presentation at our regular session meeting on April 18th, 2024.
Arbor Day. Would you like to explain that?
Trees.
Okay, we have a motion on the floor by Chairman Maniscalco, second by Councilman Miranda. All those in favor, aye? Aye. Opposed? Ayes have it.
All right, thank you very much. Councilman Miranda, do you have new business? Councilman Vieira, Councilmember Henderson, Councilmember Clendenin?
Yes, I would like to present a off-site commendation to the crew of Cavaliers celebrating their 40th anniversary.
We have a motion from Councilmember Clendenin, second Councilmember Miranda. All in favor? Aye. Any opposed? Anything else, sir?
That's it.
No? Councilmember Hurtak, Councilmember Carlson. May I have a motion to receive and file?
Second.
We have a motion from Councilmember Miranda, second from Councilmember Henderson. All in favor? Aye. We are adjourned. 8.